Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're checking out a song which is long overdue on this channel. It sounds great, electric and acoustic. It's Slide Away by Oasis. Let's start off by having a look at that introduction. It's just going to start like this. So really classic Oasis stuff. We're going to start with an A minor 7. It's like our normal A minor chord. We're just going to take out that second fret of the G and make it open. And we're going to start by arpeggiating the chord. So we're going to play the notes individually as opposed to strumming the chord. We're going to start with the open A string, second fret of the D, and then open G. Afterwards, we're then going to strum the open G string, first fret of the B, and then put on our pinky finger to the third fret of our E here. So we're going to play those three strings together. So it goes like this. We're then going to play the open E string by itself, and then the first fret of our B, and then an open B. So we have this. And that'll take us nicely into our second chord, which is going to be a G, and we're just going to use the third fret of our low E and third fret of our high E for this one. We're going to start by playing the low E, then the high E, then the open B, and open G. So we've got this. Together so far, we've got this. Afterwards, we're then going to go into our third and final chord, which is going to be a bit of a strange one. It's F major 7 sus 2. Now that sounds quite complicated, but it's a really nice easy one. We've got the third fret of our D, open G, first fret of our B, and open E. And we're going to play the notes in that order. So together we have this. We're then going to go around the progression a second time, where we're going to have a really subtle variation. On the first A minor 7, we're going to begin by just letting ring out that open A string, and then we're going to strum the rest of the chord from the D string down, including the pinky finger at the third fret of our high E. And from here we can continue to do the rest of the melody like usual. So the two parts together sound like this. Now, we're then going to play the progression another 2 times, but this time we're going to start to strum the chords. And if you're looking for just a basic reference, I would change the chords into A minor, then a G like this. So we're doing the low E, third fret, muted A string, open D, open G, third fret of the B and E. And then into an F major 7. So it's like our normal F, we're just taking out that first fret of the E and making it open. if you wanted to, you could also strum the intro chords as well. And then change into the verse chords of A minor and G and F major 7. It's up to you which way round you want to do it. You could also add in that A minor 7 melody there as well. Now that we've got that introduction rhythm down, let's just have a look at the lead guitar. I've just switched over to a slightly higher gain setting. We're going to start up at the 7th fret of our G, and we're going to begin by playing that and bending it up. We're then going to play it again while it's bent and bring it back down. We'll then go to the 5th fret of our G, and then to our root, which is going to be the 7th of our D. So we've got this. Afterwards, we're going to do some quick hammer-ons. We're going to go to the 5th fret of our A, hammer on to the 7th, and then the same thing on the D string, 5 to 7. We'll then go to the 5th of the G, back to the root, 7th of the D. So we've got this. We'll then move back to the 5th fret of our A, and we're going to bend it down, and then we're going to play it open. So together we get this. Now that we've gone over the lead guitar for the introduction, let me just quickly revise the chords for the verse. So we've got the A minor, G, and F major 7, and the rhythm should go like this. Feel free to mix that one up a little bit as well. If you want to go back to the A minor 7 from the introduction and the F major 7 sus2 as well, you know, feel free to play those every now and then. And you could even do the melody on the A minor. So you can have a little bit of fun with that one. Anyway, we're then going to move on into the pre-chorus, and we're just going to jump between a G and an F major 7. It should just sound like this. So you'll notice I did something a little bit strange at the end there. I held on the G, and then I switched it over to a G7, which adds a nice bit of tension before the chorus. And so that one's really similar, just taking off the 3rd fret of the E and B, and we're changing it over for the 1st fret of our E. If I was performing the song live, however, I would probably play something a little bit more like this. instead of going to the open G, I was choosing to slide up, so we have the 5th fret of our A, 5th of our D, then open G and 3rd of our B. So we've got the 5th, root, root, and then 5th. So we're playing a G5 chord. Notice as well, I'm muting the high E string. Anyway, I really like the transition between the F major 7 and that G5 shape, so it sounds like this. And then for a bit of drama, I then go to the open G, and then to the G7. And that takes us nicely into the chorus. Again, just from a performance standpoint, that was probably what I would do if I was playing the song live. So from the verse into the pre-chorus, it would sound like this. Alongside the verse progression, there's also going to be a really subtle bit of lead guitar which happens in that first verse, and it happens about halfway through it. It's around the 40-second mark, and we're basically going to be playing a riff over the F major 7 chord, and in between that we're just going to let ring out an A note, and that will go over the A chord and the G chord. Let me just run it down for you. So we start off that open A, and then when we get to the F major 7, we're going to play 3 different riffs. The first one goes like this. That's just going to be 5th of the A, bending that down, bringing it back, then going to the 7th of the D, and then open A string. We're then going to let that A ring out through the progression again till we get to the next F major 7, and we're going to do this riff. So this time round we're going to the 5th of the A again, not bending it, going to the 7th of the D, back to the 5th of the A and then open. And once again letting that A note ring out through the chords till we get to the next F major 7 where we'll play this. And that's 6th of the A to 5th to 3rd and then open. So together we've got this. So we're going to be starting with a C major, and I should just mention now that later on I'm going to show you a couple of alternative ideas if you want to mix up a little bit, but let's just get the basics down first. We're going to start with a C major, moving to a G, then we're going to go to our F major 7 sus2, but then hammer on our middle finger to that 2nd fret of the G, making it just a normal F major 7. And you can make up your own rhythm for this one. And that'll take us nicely into our A minor, into our G, and then we'll go into a D7. And D7 is just like our normal D major, it's just sort of a backwards version. So we've got the 2nd of our G, 1st of our B, and 2nd of our E. And that'll lead us nicely back into our F major 7. And so that completes one time round the sequence. then going to go through the sequence a second time, and there's going to be a couple of variations here. Again, starting on C, to G, then to our F, into our A, to G, and at this point we're then going to go back to our F major 7 and then swap it between F major 7 and D7, and we're going to do that 3 times, so it would sound like this. We'll then go to G, and then down to E7. It's like our E major, we're just getting rid of that 2nd fret of the D. Adds a little bit more tension, I think. Anyway, let me give you a couple of ideas then if you want to mix it up a little bit. When we start from the C, going into the G, rather than doing that chord movement, you could simply just move your middle and ring fingers up a string. So you've got the 3rd fret of the E and 2nd fret of the A. And that has a bit of a strange name. We're going to call it G add 11, add 13. It's a bit of a weird one. Essentially, we're just adding in a C note and an E note to the chord. But it works really nice in the context of this chord progression. Check it out. You know, that movement might be really helpful, you know, if you're a bit of a singer-songwriter and you've got to play acoustic guitar and also sing as well. The second idea I've got for you is to change the A minor into an A minor 7. That sounds quite nice as well. And the final idea I've got to you comes at right at the end of the chorus when we go from the F major 7 to the D7. And my idea for you here is, if you want to, you could change the D7 to a D suspended 2. That also sounds quite nice in this chord progression. It goes like this. Before we get to the solo, we've just got a tiny bit of lead guitar to talk about in the chorus, and it happens right at the end of the chorus where the chords go from F major 7 to D7 again and again 3 times through, and we're going to be up at the 7th fret of our G, and we're going to begin by bending it up. We're then going to play it again, bring it down, and then go to the 5th of the G to the 7th of our D, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. Then when the chords go to G and then E7, we are going to go to the 7th of our G again and just let that one ring out. And when the chord goes to the E7, we're then just going to bring it up. And that'll take us nicely into the solo. Alright, so it's now time for us to talk about the guitar solo. I'm just going to break this down into a few phrases, starting with phrase number 1. Again, we are going to be up at the 7th fret of our G, bending it up. And over time there, I'm just releasing it. We're then going to go to the 5th of the E. then to the 5th of the B, so rolling the index finger over, then to the 7th of the G, to the 5th, then we're going to play the 5th of the G again, then 7, then 5th. We'll then go over to the 5th fret of our D, hammering onto the 7th. So we have this. And that'll take us nicely into our second phrase, which is going to sound like this. So we are up at the 8th and 10th frets of our E and B. We're going to start by hammering on the 8th of the B up to the 10th, and then playing the 8th of the E. We're then going to play the 8th fret of the E another 2 times. So that's 3 in total, and on the 3rd time we're going to hammer on and pull off the 10th fret of the E. We're then going to land our ring finger at the 10th fret of our B. We're then going to go 8 to 10 on the B and then do that again. And that'll take us nicely into our third phrase, which is going to sound like this. Again, starting at the 7th of the G, bending it up, then playing it again, bringing it down, and going to the 5th of our G. We're then going to go 7 to 5 on the G, 7 to 5 on the D, then play the 5th of the D again, hammering back onto the 7th. Then we're going to finish that off by going to the 6th of the A and the 5th, and then open. So far the solo sounds like this. Moving into our fourth phrase, we're going to go all the way up to the 15th fret of our B, and it just sounds like this. So we're going to start by bending up the 15th of our B. We're then going to play it again, bring it down, go to the 13th, and then the 14th of the G. We'll then switch over to the 12th fret of our D, then we'll hammer onto the 14th, then again 12 to 14 on the G. Then we're going to go 13th on the B, and then reshuffle our hands and pull off 15 to 13 on the B. We'll then go back to the 15th of the B and bend it up again. This time we'll do it twice. We'll then play it a third time, bring it down, go to the 13th and the 14th of the G. And that'll take us nicely into our fifth and final phrase. We'll start at the 12th fret of our D, hammering onto the 14th. Then we'll do the same thing on the G, 12 to 14. But then we'll go back to the 12th of the G, 14th of the D, 12th, 10th. Then we'll switch to the A string, 12th fret, to the 10th, and then slide up to the 12th. Together, the solo sounds like this. As we continue on through the song, we're going to arrive at the second chorus, and there's a strange one-off guitar line which gets played midway through this chorus. It's behind the A minor chord to G and then D7 to F, and it just goes like this. So that's just hammering on from 5 to 7 on the D, then letting it ring out, sliding up 2 frets to the 9th, then either going 1 fret up to the 10th or going to the 5th of the G, and then sliding another 2 frets up to the 7th of the G or up to the 12th of the D. And that's all there is to it. It's just a one-off line. It's a really great part to play, so maybe think about including it in some of the other choruses if you can do that. So the last thing for us to talk about is the outro, and it starts with a 16-bar sequence. It's just the chorus lead guitar that we've previously played, so nothing new there, and it goes on for quite a considerable time there. 16 bars is a long time, and after that it then goes through a series of 8-bar sequences where it plays lots of repeating licks with a few variations. I actually did teach it, but I decided to delete it because it's a little bit heavy going, and if I'm honest, it's a little bit boring. It goes on for quite a while, so I've decided to delete it in favour of just telling you to have a bit of fun with it. Stick with A minor pentatonic patterns 1 and 2 and you should be absolutely fine. You can reference ideas from the solo and some of the other lead guitar parts, and that's all I've got for you today, so I really hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next lesson.